Uncle Scrooge, Earth's Mightiest Duck, issue number 2 from Marvel Comics. So yeah, in the last issue we had aliens taking over. They're looking for Scrooge's money. They've taken over the planet, and they've captured Scrooge and trapped him in his memories. And they're trying to find the location of his gold based off of his memories. And that's where a lot of this issue takes place, is in Scrooge's memories. This time we get to America, the Dakota Badlands in 1882, where we see some cow rustlers are camping out, talking about some kid that they had robbed horses from. And it turns out that that is Scrooge Buck McDuck, the buckaroo of the Badlands. So I thought this was a little bit weird how we're going to get Uncle Scrooge throughout different time periods, but they're all the same person. So they're not like Scrooge's ancestors from different time periods. They're all the same Scrooge McDuck who has somehow lived through these different timelines. And yeah, we see Scrooge riding on a bear using two snakes tied together as a lasso. And he scares them away, gets his horses back, and that's when our Scrooge McDuck and Scrooge McDuck as a kid show up. And they basically tell Buck McDuck about what's going on. And so now we have 3 McDucks being chased by the alien robots. So this Scrooge McDuck was from 1882. And then we see that later on he goes back to Scotland where he becomes a knight. So he goes from being some lad in like the Victorian era to being a cowboy in the Wild West to going back to Scotland and becoming a knight, where we see him fighting the robots because the robots are invading his castle and trying to locate where his money is. And we just talks about how there's a bunch of different types of Scrooge McDucks, but they're all the same Scrooge, and they all start attacking the robots. Until eventually we cut to 1883, where we see Pirate McDuck. So we have Pirate Scrooge, we have Knight Scrooge, we have Cowboy Scrooge, we have Victorian era Kid Scrooge, and we have present day Scrooge. And they're all basically trying to inform Pirate Scrooge about what's going on, about how there's these robots, how they're trapped in our mind, how they invaded the planet, and they're trying to find where my money is by destroying bits of my memories until the only memory left is the memory of where my money is. So the other ducks basically start putting Scrooge to task. Aliens are after you. We've been running from memory to memory, but what's one memory we've never revisited? What's the memory that's so horrifying that it'll be like the worst nightmares? That has got to be the way to snap you out of this. Because there's no way that they can snap Scrooge McDuck out of whatever coma the aliens have put him in. But they think, well, if we put you in your worst memory, then the memory that you always repress and never want to revisit ever again, maybe the horrifying revisiting of that can snap you out. So we see them, and we cut to Scrooge's money pit, where Scrooge is talking to Donald, and basically saying that Donald has proved to be so agitating that you've renewed the fire that I thought was lost within me. So I want to take you on my many adventures around the world, and I'll pay you 30 cents an hour. How does that sound? And Donald, of course, snaps at him because he's like, 30 cents an hour? What the hell kind of payment is that? And Scrooge is like, this is the worst day of my life. I thought I could have gotten him to maybe accept for a quarter. And the rest of the ducks are like, really? You agreed to pay him that? That's the worst day of your life? Come on, man. This can't be it. And so we get to see what the actual worst day of his life is. And it was in 1896. So I guess Scrooge went from living on the streets to becoming a cowboy, to becoming a knight, to becoming a pirate, to becoming a cowboy once again. Only instead of like an actual cowboy, he decides to be a 49er. He's going to go out and he's going to prospect for gold. And there's this girl named Goldie, who is the love of Scrooge's life. And he is walking away from her so that he can make bank, so that he can go look for gold. And as he's walking away, he's like, this is the most stubborn, hard-headed woman that's ever been born. She's ungrateful and coarse as sandpaper and tough as nails and fearless and foul-tempered. And what am I doing walking away from a woman like that? I can travel the world for a century and never find anyone like glittering Goldie. So he decides, okay, you know what? I'm going to put my cards on the table. I'm going to go back, see how she feels. And if she reciprocates my love, which she does, then I'll marry her. And if not, then I'll set out to mine gold. But as he's about to walk back, that's when the Scrooges that we've been seeing up until now fall on top of him. That's when the robots show up. I'm kind of wondering, how is this the worst day of your life? Because we know for a fact that the robots didn't show up in the past. And it looks like here in the past that you're walking back to her to make up with her, and she is reciprocating that. So how was losing Goldie the worst day of your life? Like, how did you lose her? It would have made more sense if he walked away from her, and then we cut to him and he's mining gold, and maybe he's finding a bunch of gold, but he's realizing that all this gold isn't filling the void in his heart. So at this point, it's already too late for him to go back, and he realizes too late. That would have made a lot more sense instead of him immediately realizing that this is the love of his life, and somehow he still loses her. I don't know. Maybe the next issue is going to kind of explain it. There's more. Like I said, I'm stopping it here because I don't want to spoil everything. I like this issue a lot, though. I thought it was pretty good. I am a little bit like... It works because it's a comedy, obviously. But it is just a little bit like, really, you expect me to think that all these different time periods are the same Scrooge? Like, they're not Scrooge from, like, different eras. They're not like his ancestors or anything like that. They're all him. This is all his memories. So he has literally been a pirate, a cowboy, a prospector, a knight. So I thought that was like, it's just kind of weird to have like knights in the same time period as cowboys and stuff like that. But whatever. It's a Scrooge McDuck comic. It doesn't need to be realistic whatsoever. Art is pretty good for the most part. There was only like a couple times where I was like, oh, that looks a little bit weird. And that was just mostly when they said, you know, I'm Scrooge, the last of my clan. Like, the art styles seemed to be really different in that panel. Like, it didn't really fit with the rest of the images, which makes me wonder if maybe they had like secondary artists that only covered a couple of pages. If so, that would make a lot more. Oh yeah, they did. I'm looking at the credits now. So yeah, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 artists on this. That makes a lot more sense then, because some of the artwork I'm like, that looks a little bit weird, and other artwork is like, oh, that looks pretty good. So yeah, for the most part, I think the artwork is really good. There's just the one like moment that kind of really puts me off. Yeah, I think this is a fun little ride. It's kind of cool to dip into Scrooge McDuck's memories and see all the different aspects of like moments of his life and stuff. And yeah, I'm interested to see where this is going. We also get a pretty funny team up. I guess just a little bit of spoilers, where the Beagle Boys team up with Donald Duck and Huey, Dewey, and Louie to break into the Scrooge McDuck's mansion to try to rescue him. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, the Beagle Boys, like, who better to team up with to break into Scrooge's mansion than the Beagle Boys? But yeah, there's like a lot of other cool stuff that I haven't covered because I don't want to be spoiling everything. I thought this was good. I liked it a lot. Artwork, like I said, for the most part is really good. Story is interesting. I am loving this series so far. I think it's really entertaining. So yeah, this gets a recommendation for me. There you go, Uncle Scrooge, Earth's Mightiest Duck, issue number 2 from Marvel. Good issue, good series so far. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope to see you next time. Take care. Later. Thank you for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I still want to thank you for watching it this far, and I hope the next one is more to your liking. With that said, thank you once again, and I hope you guys and gals have a good one. Later.